Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to discuss citation format for both in-text citations and works cited sections. In your final essay, you are going to have to include quotations in your body paragraphs to prove your main ideas. This is something that we've discussed when we went over body paragraph structure. After a quotation, you're going to have to indicate where that quotation comes from. In other words, who the author of the story was and the page number where you can find that quotation. Then you will also require a works cited section that is properly formatted, so it follows the correct conventions and structure. First, every essay needs quotations. If you don't have quotations, you don't have an essay. Remember that in an essay, you're trying to prove something. You're trying to argue your thesis to prove that it's true. You have main ideas. Each body paragraph develops one main idea. And through the essay, the development of 3 main ideas, one for each of your 3 body paragraphs, you gradually go about proving the thesis statement, your argument for the essay. To prove your main ideas, though, you need evidence from the story. You can't just say something about the story. You need to give me an example from the story, from the author's own words in the story, to help you prove it. Then, as we've done in class, you analyze that example. You analyze that quotation to tell me how it proves the point. Now, quotations have to be cited properly. They have to be integrated into your own essay, and they have to have proper in-text citations. The last page of your essay should be a works cited section. And we're going to take a look at the documents we've covered in this class just to review these concepts. In-text citations. I have here 2 quotations from the sample essay that I provided to you on Collier's The Chaser. Let's look at how we integrate a quotation and provide an in-text citation, where we tell our readers where we can find this quotation in the story. My sentence begins, he sets the price of the love potion at just $1 because he knows that customers will come back later in life. Collier 412. So I have my own portion of the sentence, and then using my own sentence, I integrate, or I take a piece of a quotation and put it into my own sentence. So this section of the sentence, just $1, and this section of the sentence, customers will come back later in life, are both quotations. They're something that's been taken from the text, taken from the story, The Chaser by John Collier. I need to take quotations and indicate them, show what portion of my sentence or what part of my sentence is a quotation. I show what part of my sentence is a quotation by using quotation marks. So I surround the quotation, the part of the sentence that I'm taking directly from the story, with quotation marks. Now, there are many different ways of integrating quotations, of taking quotations and putting them into our sentences. And those were covered in the handout and the various different activities that we did surrounding quotation integration. Refer back to the quotation integration handouts for more information on this. Here's another example. The old man says, comma, I open my quotations. I say, well, here's where the quotation begins. One has to be older than you are to indulge in that sort of thing. One has to save up for it. Then I end the quotation. Now I could end the sentence there, right? I could cut this and just have my quotation and end the sentence with the in-text citation, but I decide to continue on with a little bit more. As long as your sentence is grammatically correct, there are many ways that you can integrate quotations. Now, after the sentence, at the very end of the sentence where you have a quotation, you need to have your in-text citation. The in-text citation is just a way of you letting your reader know who the author of this story was and where your reader can find that quotation in the story. So, I have rounded brackets. Inside those rounded brackets, I have the author's last name, and then the page number where you find that quotation. Now, everything that you cite inside the body of the paper, so for instance here I'm citing Collier, his short story, The Chaser. Everything that you cite in the essay also has to have an entry in your works cited section. A works cited section is a part of the essay that tells your reader where he or she can go to find the story or to find the quotation that you used. Now, for your essay, you're only citing from one story, probably the spider's thread. So you're going to need a works cited entry for the spider's thread. Let's take a look at a works cited section very briefly so you can see what it looks like in an essay, and then we'll come to the different elements of it. So here we have the colored Collier essay that has been posted on Omnibox and that we've reviewed several times when looking at introductions, body paragraph structure, and more. I would encourage you to review the structure of a body paragraph, such as this one, as you develop your essay. Look at how each of these sentences is colored with a different color, and then look at the key where I tell you what each of these sentences is doing. But here we have the works cited section. The works cited section has centered at the top of the page works cited, the W and the C capitalized, and then you have works cited entries. The first line of each entry in the works cited section is not indented. Every line after that is indented, so you have a tab. This works cited entry lets the reader of this essay know where they can find this story. So I've given the author's name, I've given the title of the story, I've given some information about where that story was published, who published it, the date it was published, and then the page range where it can be found inside that story. Now, let's take a look at the specific aspects of the works cited section. A works cited section has most, if not all, of these 7 elements. You have the author's name, last name, comma, first name with a period, the title of the source, which for us is the title of the short story, the title of the container, which is the title of the collection where you can find that story, usually, other contributors. For instance, if you know who translated the story, the spider's thread was originally written in Japanese, not English, so somebody had to translate it. Can you include the translator? The version, the number, these are not particularly important for us. You can ignore numbers 5 and 6 for the spider's thread. The publisher, who published the story, the publication date, and the location. Location just means, was this in a particular page range in that collection? So if I took the story The Spider's Thread from a collection of short stories and it was on pages 101 to 104, I would indicate that there. So let's take a look at that example one more time. Here we have that works cited entry based on the format that I just showed you. I have the author's name with the last name, Collier, comma, and then the author's first name, and then a period. I have the title of the short story in quotation marks. Whenever you write the title of a short story in your essay or in the works cited section, it has to be in quotation marks. Then I have the title of the container, which in this case was a collection of short stories, and the title of that collection of short stories was Fancies and Goodnights. When you have a novel or a collection of different stories, it's in italics. So the title of this container is italicized. Then I have a comma, and after the comma, I have the publisher. The publisher of this Fancies and Good Nights collection was New York Review Books Classics. I have another comma, the date the book was published, another comma, and then the location. Right? What pages was that story on inside this collection? Well, I have PP period, and then the page range, 415 to 416, and that should not be there. Okay, so it should be 415 to 416. So let's copy this, bring this into our slides, and we can look at that. So, Collier John, The Chaser, Fancies and Good Nights, New York Review Books Classic, 2003, pages 415 to 416. Now, if this new section was in my Works Cited section, I would need to make sure that every line after the first was indented. Okay. So make sure that you have this kind of formatting for your Works Cited section. Now, on Omnivox, I am going to post a Works Cited entry for the Spiders thread. You can use that in your essays, your final essays. All right. If you have any questions about this topic or about anything else regarding the course, please reach out to me.